Only 2 days before Kill Team Moroch goes up for pre-order, we have our first rules preview for the Space Marine Kill Team. Like the Trader Ogren previews, this one is largely going to be focused on one model, and that is the Incursor Marksman, who's basically the sniper of the Space Marine team. Let's start off with the datasheet we were shown for this model. As far as the non-weapon stats, it's the exact same as it was in the compendium, but it does have a better weapon stat line. The new bolter has the same damage and the same number of attacks, but it has one better ballistic skill, hitting on a 2-up rather than a 3-up. And it loses the no cover ability to gain AP 1 and lethal 5-up. So a pretty solid trade-off. Where this new marksman is really buffed compared to its compendium counterpart isn't really in the weapon profile though. It's the special rules that come along with it. So we don't have a sacked wording on the first part, but he'll be equipped with a multi-spectrum array, which will have 2 effects. The first is that enemies will have to be farther away from scaring terrain to get the benefit. Like I said, we don't get the exact wording, so this may mean that you have to be 3 or 4 inches away from scaring terrain to no longer be a valid target for shooting attacks. Which forcing your enemy to stay that far away is going to be really bad for melee models who want to get as close as possible so they can move up the board, because they have to move up the board to do anything. The other part of this array is that it can see through clouds of smoke. So I know initially that seems pretty situational, because only a few teams have access to smoke grenades, and not every player even uses them. But we've seen this model from the Space Marines, and I think this will be one of the big combos. You can pop smoke with that first Space Marine, and now you're the only player that can shoot through that area. And the final rule we've seen from the Marksman is the most interesting, and that is an ability called Track Target. So in-game, this will let you interrupt an enemy's activation to perform overwatch early. Basically, you can use this anytime after an enemy operative finishes an action, so it can be in the middle of their turn. So obviously the enemy operative has to be a valid target. But one nice thing with this is you can be in a conceal order, and then you get to switch over to an engage order to fire your overwatch. And this overwatch has to be used with that special bolt carbine we saw earlier, which is a pretty good weapon, so that's not really a negative. And after you've interrupted and done your overwatch shot, if the enemy isn't incapacitated, they basically go on with their turn as normal afterwards. A reminder here, you do only get one overwatch shot with each model, each turning point, so this will be your overwatch for the Marksman. So pulling that all together, the Marksman has a really solid rifle that will get reliable damage off. And it has the ability to just sit there and wait for someone to be out in the open, even if it's halfway through their turn, and smoke and obscuring terrain might not even save you. I do think it's fun that the new team has a way to apply pressure on the board that's really unique to them and makes positioning matter that much more. I also think the Marksman will be a pretty good counter to all those high mobility teams out there. I know normally snipers aren't counters to high mobility, but those high mobility teams can get across the board fast, but with multiple actions. So you have quite a few opportunities to pick off a key target. I'm surprised we haven't done previews for anything else yet. I'm not sure if they'll drop anything tomorrow, since that is the last day before the pre-order. And one last thing before we end this video. Everyone has been complaining that the train looks awkward in the pictures we saw for it, which I agree, those are 2 giant chunks of train with nothing in the middle. So in Warhammer Community's article today, they decided to describe it as chunky. So I don't think that's the complaint people were having about it, they just weren't sure if the train was chunky enough. In all honesty, I do think the train looks pretty cool, and if you move it around in a non-insane format, it probably will be pretty fun. So anyways, let me know in the comments if you're getting this set or not. I'm leaning towards just buying the Trader Guard team when it comes out, or maybe splitting this set with a friend and just buying the Trader Guardsman part from them. So if you haven't seen the previews for the Trader Guardsman, I'll link them here. Make sure to check that one out, and thank you for watching.